Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. How you doing today? Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the CEO of Hemlane. How you doing, Dana?
I'm great. Thanks, Michael, for having me.
Thanks. I love the topics you're bringing us today because, again, I can't believe the numbers, how many people self-manage, right? It's something I've never done. Too far away, too busy, lots of excuses why we didn't do it 20 years ago and never came back. But technology has really changed, right? You can now do self-touring. I mean, I hear the questions like, should I install keyless locks and things of that nature? So I thought we should talk about it and, kind of the pros and cons, because we have a lot of out-of-state investors. So what are your thoughts when I talk about that?
Yeah. And the reason we talk about it, Michael, like you said, is 72% of rental properties are self-managed. Wow. And so trying to figure out ways to optimize your time from driving out to the property. And one of the most frustrating times is not during like repair coordination or turnover to make sure things are done properly, but it's showings. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is tenants don't value your time. Right. They will set up a showing on Saturday at noon, which usually it's like Saturdays and Sundays. And then suddenly it's a great day at the beach and they forget to text you that they can't make it. And you're sitting at the property for 25 minutes. And it's like, that was such a waste of time. Right. And so from that perspective, and then also with out-of-state investing of saying, hey, can I remotely manage? The question has always come, well, why don't we just do keyless entry, like a keypad? Mm-hmm. And we can change the code on the key, right? Every single time a new tenant comes in. So if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have said it was a terrible idea to do it. Okay. And there's two reasons for that. One, I don't think the technology was as good as it is today. And the second reason, and which I actually still firmly believe in, is I don't want to give, especially real estate investors who use Hemlane or are remotely managing, the impression that they don't physically need to be there at the property, like that you can do everything remote. We still really heavily advertise that you need someone local who's on your team, got your back to make sure the property is locked, make sure things are in good shape. And I can give you an example of that. And then I'll go into the why keyless entry. Some of the technology is pretty cool these days. Okay. So one of the examples is, you give them a keypad to unlock and get into the property, and you can change that, right? So you can go ahead and change the lock once they leave. But imagine they go and they open a window. And you can't see that. I mean, you don't have cameras in the house because once someone moves in, you'd have to uninstall those. Mm-hmm. And so they leave a window open and then they have a party in the house the next night. And you can't really attribute it back to which tenant showing it was. Mm-hmm. And they know it's a vacant property. And so we've seen things like that. I've actually seen it happen personally to a property of someone I know who uses Hemlane, where people had a party in the house. And, it's a disaster. And so from that perspective, just standard keyless entry, I don't think is a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. And again, I think about it for lots of different reasons. That story alone should scare people out of it. But again, what I go back to is you're in the people business. If you're a landlord, you're in the people business. And that starts with tenant selection. And some of that is the tenant themselves. The showing is not only for you or for them, excuse me, but it's also for you. Yeah. I would, I don't mind keyless entry, but I would never use it for a showing, right? I would never say, hey, go use 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be good for the next 2 hours. And then I'm changing it because not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there is some technology that is getting better. So there's some solutions out there, and we haven't implemented any of them in because of my reservations and hesitations of promoting, hey, everything should be 100% remote, because I just don't believe that ever will happen. Mm-hmm. But there are some where they have like credit cards where they charge the tenant's credit card $1 mm-hmm. and then they give it back and refund afterwards. But at least they have some credit card on file in case there's any damage. They're really tracking everything. There's some that are really designed just for rental properties and just for showings of rental properties. And I think that's actually interesting. If it's not like, I used to work at Nest, the home technology company. If it's not like the Nest lock, which is not designed for rentals and showing tenants the property, but it's specifically designed for renters where it's, hey, we need your driver's license. We're actually going to verify this. Great. Now we need a credit card on file. Don't worry. We're not going to charge anything. We just do the dollar and refund it to make sure the card is active. And they go through that process to make sure you're dealing with someone legit on the other side, because you have no idea who that is. And anyone who says like keyless entry, like you're going to promote some sort of scam or someone trying to get access to the property who's definitely not a tenant. Yeah. So that helps mitigate the risk. But a standard keyless entry that isn't designed for rentals is a terrible idea. And
yeah, I just don't get the upside. When I look at everything, it's like, what's the upside? What's the downside? In this case, the downside is it's known. We've had examples. And the upside's what? Somebody I know, like, again, I'm thinking out of state, right? I don't have to pay someone to go, show it. No, thanks. It's not going to happen. I would never do that in any of my properties. Just no, thanks. I want to get to know the tenant. It's part of the process. It's not, hey, here's a code, go in, let me know what you think. I mean, that's lazy, and it's all downside risk from there. It's all downside. Even if they do nothing, you haven't met the tenant yet. You don't know anything about them. No.
Yeah.
Start the relationship early.
Exactly. And it's a 12-month rental, right?
Yeah.
It's not a short term. Like you're stuck with this person for 12 months. And there's certain things that people will do. Like tenants will come and say, we're super clean. And you see their car and you see there's just trash all over the ground. And you're like, maybe I should do a past landlord reference check and make sure that past properties were left in the same condition upon move-in and certain things like that. So while I'm like very much of a tech forward person, and same with you, Mike, like coming from the tech industry, there's also just when you're in the industry and you've seen things happen, you end up just saying, hey, I need to mitigate risk as much as possible here. So,
yeah. And again, I think keyless entry is a great idea. One of the things that I remember very early on was just the collection of keys that you start building if you're a landlord. So I'm not anti keyless entry. I'm just I want somebody there for the showing.
Yeah.
I just do. And part of that is I want somebody to make sure the property is locked up when they're done. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
Lots of good stuff. So thank you very much for this. This is a great conversation. I look forward to number 2.
Likewise.
Thanks.